Oh, man, bad news, buddy.
What's up, dude?
I don't think I can do the show anymore, man.
What's wrong?
I just feel as if it's just my age is just catching up to me and just not as witty as I once was. Like this morning, I woke up with a splitting headache.
Mate, it might have had something to do with the 40 bourbons you had last night.
I can't even control my bowels. I shit myself.
You ordered a Vindaloo from Uber Eats at 1:30 in the morning. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, but, mate, that doesn't explain why my whole body is sore. Like, it's just terrible, man.
Last night, you punched a bouncer in the face and had to run about 4 kilometres to get away from him and the cops.
Oh, yeah, but what about all the grey hair?
You bet us $20 that you wouldn't suck off a hobo.
But I can't remember. Like, mate, now money is appearing and then just disappearing and then reappearing in my pockets again. I don't know what the hell's going on.
What do you mean?
Oh, I don't know. Where did I get the $20 from?
From the bloody hobo.
Oh. Let's get to it. How hard this was to research and try and sound genuinely like I was doing work? I don't know how this is going. Hey, you buddy.
What's going on, old man?
Not much, man. So we started off, this is the first of a two-part series. We started off just going, let's just research a couple of things. And when we started asking questions about aging, it's like, what about this aspect of aging? And what about that aspect of aging? What's the science behind that? This is hilarious. We have to cover this. And we ended up just realising this is going to be a two-part episode because we both just went off on these tangents just researching.
Just all the fascinating stuff to do with aging. What happens as you get older and why? You know, all the classic symptoms of aging, from grey hairs in your beard
to splashdowns. Want to know what a splashdown is? You'll just have to wait. So what are we looking at today, mate?
I'd like to talk about metabolism and why your metabolism slows down so much.
Interesting, yeah, because I've noticed that as I'm getting older, and I'm only 30, what am I, 32 this year? Something like that? I can't remember. I'm 32. 32, yeah. 86, yeah, 32.
Yeah.
So metabolism, that's the when you know you're getting old, is when you can't remember how old you are. Yeah.
I can't count that high anymore.
After 21, I just stopped counting.
I'm turning 33 because it's 33rd, which makes you the dirty turd.
Oh, all right.
Don't know what I'm going to do for 34.
I don't know. Yeah. 34, be a whore.
I don't know. A few of my mates are getting the peppering, though, the bit of the greying.
Yeah, I found a couple of grey. Can you see some grey beards, hair?
Oh, not really. Yeah, maybe a little in there if they get them to the right light.
There's a little in there.
There's a bit of balding going with some of our mates.
Yeah, me included. Yeah. There's no
Everyone's hair out. I just grow enough hair to cover it over.
Yeah, that's the spirit. that's the plan.
Saggy bits. We got all those aging symptoms, the famous ones, greying.
Yeah, so we're going to cover things like sagging of testicles and boobs, and we're going to go over like grey hair. We're going to go over wrinkles, seeing like why your eyesight sucks when you get older, like what the science is behind it, why you're more likely to get cancer with your immune system and things like that. So it's going to be like pretty intense next couple of episodes. I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's interesting, although I have learnt from this research that aging kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's just your body just going, I'm out. Fuck this.
Yeah, it kind of pieces out around the mid-20s from my research. It says, you hit about mid-20s and it's slow downhill from there.
Yeah.
But it's fun, you get to be ruder and give less of a shit.
Yeah, exactly. So you're doing metabolism.
Metabolism, we start with metabolism. So we measure metabolism basically as a BMR, which is your basal metabolic rate. So that's just what your body uses up every day for normal functions.
Cool.
So it doesn't count if you're going out and running a marathon every 2 days, okay? That's not your basal metabolic rate. That's extra work.
Okay.
So when we're comparing metabolism, that's the level we're comparing it at.
Oh, okay.
To make it a fair test, if you will.
Well, that would make sense, because if you're comparing someone's metabolism who goes and runs the marathons every week, well, then they're obviously burning off a lot more energy than, say, someone who has the same intake with them that naturally, biologically would occur.
Yeah, that's right. And
yeah,
so
okay, that makes sense.
It's pretty open-ended. So your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, accounts for somewhere between about 50 and 70% of your total energy usage.
Wow.
So if you're super active, it's going to be closer to 50. If you're not an active guy, it's probably closer to 70.
So I'm about 60.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle. I don't know.
Somewhere in the middle.
I'm not making that judgment call.
Yeah. Well, we do a lot together.
We do.
We probably, some say, I say, like, too much. And we play sport together. You know, we do the podcast. We spend weekends together. It's just the best. So I think you do a little bit more exercise than me, though. You do those sit-ups and stuff.
I actually don't mind running. Yeah, I think that's the big difference.
If it's not a team sport.
Yeah, if there's no ball, you don't give a shit. As long as there's a ball involved, you're all on.
I'm like a dog, yeah.
Woo, I'll just run for the sake of running.
Does watching professional sportsmen run count?
I suppose that'd feed into your BMR, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. What are you doing there? I'm just getting my exercise.
Thanks for the day. Oh, jeez, it's exhausting watching these guys run.
So your BMR, it starts slowing down somewhere between about 25 and 30 years old. Now, because it's a medical thing, there's obviously a bit of wiggle room in here. We don't have that lab population, and tests are usually hard to come by a bunch of subjects.
And humans are so individual as well. So,
absolutely. Like, even if you and I, there's a significant height difference, you know, there's reasonably sized weight difference as a result of that. So just by the fact from us walking, you're going to burn more energy than I am simply by the fact you're carrying more weight around. It takes more energy. You know? So there's a whole lot of variation in there. So we're talking somewhere in the middle. This is averages. So don't go and take this to the dietitian and go, well, I heard on Sci-gasm. You should probably not take anything you heard on Sci-gasm to any scientific body, to be honest.
No, unless a scientist says it.
Yeah, that's
outside of us.
Yeah. You can probably bet that we're probably half cut when we're doing most of these episodes too, so it's a bad decision.
I'll have you know I have not been drunk in weeks.
I don't think we've been drunk this season, or even tipsy this season. Might have to rectify that.
Oh, it sounds like a challenge.
So your basal metabolic rate slows at a rate of about 2% per decade, and once you hit about 45, it can actually slow at about 10% per decade.
Wow.
So it drops off real. Now, a lot of people think it's just a factor of getting older that your basal metabolic rate drops, but a big factor is actually just the fact that we get lazier as we get older. Now, there's a bit of conflicting science out there about that says metabolism can be increased with increasing your muscle mass. So if you metabolism slowing down, you say, go hit the gym, lift a lot of heavy weights, and then your muscles will increase in mass, and then you'll burn more energy because of that.
Oh, okay.
So that's the logic, but there is some stuff out there that says maybe yes, maybe no, and if you start looking at the BMR, it's probably not that much of a difference, to be honest.
That's one thing I found with diets and things like that, and I guess it's kind of these pseudo-scientific kind of, you know, stuff like, you know, oh, this shake will help you lose weight and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like, dietitians, they'll be the first ones to say the individual is so varied in how they metabolize things, how they interpret things, you know, how much exercise they do.
Genetic factors, all kinds of stuff.
Genetic factors. There's so many variables. So it's not like a...
If you're a fat bastard, though, and your parents are fat bastards... Don't write that off at genes. There's probably something else going on. You can still lose weight.
Oh, mate.
Well, it could be genetic, but it could not be.
It could be genetic. It could be genetic.
It's probably if there's a certain point where it's not genetic anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when lifestyle comes into it, you know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, shall we say, hefty lads out there that you can't write them off as genes.
Let's be honest. Like the nation, the Western world, is just getting fatter.
Yeah,
we're getting fatter because, you know, we don't exercise as much, we eat more, and there's more demands from work and things like that. Now, you think about one of the reasons
our diet's a shithouse compared to what they were. It's so easy to get high calorie foods.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can drive through. You literally don't have to get out of your car to pick up like thousands of
calories. You don't even need to
leave
leave your house anymore, man.
Yeah, that's true.
You can literally just get McDonald's brought to your fat ass. You can get McDonald's brought to you. And like,
my metabolism's slowing down.
Oh no,
I can't seem to shake my weight.
Yeah, I have to walk to the car now and walk back in. It's just ridiculous.
It is. It's madness.
Drop off your fast food for you. It's
amazing.
I know people have been doing that for ages with pizza and stuff like that, but like at least it was only pizza. You know? Now it's like everything.
Yeah, it is. It's just don't do that, people. Maybe once a fortnight or something. Sure, have your cheat days or something, but it gets pretty gnarly when you're doing it multiple times a week.
Yeah, that's something.
I blame Uber and the fast food industry.
Yeah, not
the individual.
Not the individual. Yeah, these damn fast food companies, you know, the shame on them. It's like, well, look, they're not the ones. They're not forcing you to eat it. It's kind of like people who complain about big business coming to a local
area. But the advertisements are all over my internet.
Yeah. But it's like people when they complain about, like, you know, supermarkets, like big brand supermarkets coming to, you know, their local town, stuff like that, how it's going to put all the other business out. It's like, well, okay, like, don't get me wrong, I'm a big supporter of small businesses. However, like, if no one shops at that, you know, that huge supermarket chain brand, then guess what? They go away.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
but they're charging 1/3 of the prices.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Back to metabolism.
Back to metabolism. So, there are other factors as well. Like we said, there's genetic factors, and there's also after your 30s, you stop making human growth hormones, so there's no energy being used to grow bigger anymore after that. It's just being stored. So, yeah, your metabolism's naturally going to slow if you're not growing bigger.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the BMR, the problem
that means you're done.
You're done growing.
You're done growing
up. You're done growing useful thing. Yeah, you just start growing out.
Okay.
Or storage energy.
So this I'll grow one day thing doesn't work with you anymore.
No, I'm out. No. Maybe I can get like
You'll forever be below average height.
I could get a tumor on my pituitary gland or something, and
there you go.
Yeah,
and then boom,
boom, up I go again. That could be a problem though. That could have a whole raft of other issues, which I think you'll cover later in this episode. Actually. All right. Now, if we look at the BMR, the basal metabolic rate, about 20% of that is used by your brain. Another 15 to 20% of that is used by your heart. Another 15 to 20% of that is used by your liver. Probably in your case, 25%. We don't know. And then there's a whole bunch of other organs that are using it. So when you add it all up, there's only about 20 to 25% of your basal metabolic rate is actually being used by your muscles. So increasing muscle mass, this is what I'm saying, it will increase your metabolism to an extent. But not that far.
Okay.
There was a 2012 study which even suggests that elderly people, so these are like oldies, 65 plus, probably only one of two listeners out there that listen to the show at 65 plus. You guys,
Hello.
I'm sorry to tell you, hey, how's it going? I'm sorry to tell you guys, but it doesn't matter how much weight you lift, you're really not going to build sufficient muscle to change your metabolism at that stage anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So
That's
there's nothing you can do. It is interesting, and like there'll be little things that'll help you just in your lifestyle choices, but you're not going to change your metabolic rate. There was a 1984 study which actually suggested that a decrease in vitamin D metabolism, which is basically vitamin D changing from its stored form to its useful form, that decrease in metabolism as women get older is what actually contributes to the increased osteoporosis in women.
Wow.
So yeah, there is, as you get older, a whole raft of metabolism slowing down things that come from a whole variety of factors. You being a fat, lazy bastard, as well as reduction in growth hormones, as well as increased fat and reduction in muscle as well.
So it's not looking good for us, Bernie.
It's not looking good, and we've just cracked that magical 25 to 30 bracket as well, so we're on the slippery slope now.
God. Oh, no. So what else have we got today, Byrne?
I don't know, what have you got? You got some immunity for us or something?
I do have some immunity for you. So obviously the immune system, and like all this type of thing, we have to stress to our listeners that with any of these things we talk about, there's no two individuals that are alike in all this. There's a variety of factors, nature, nurture, it's just a whole range of different things. So no two individuals obviously have the same immune system. Some people can obviously fend off diseases and infections and things like that much better than other people. Even people who are a little bit older, if they've got a very strong immune system, are better at obviously fighting their immune system, fighting against something that a young person in their 20s.
Like
30s,
Wolverine.
Like fucking Wolverine. Now, when it comes to getting older, there's advantages and disadvantages. Obviously, when we get older, our immune system develops defenses against specific antigens. Okay, so there's things that will come in our body that have been there before, so our immune systems are able to learn.
So I know you, I can take you out.
Exactly.
This worked last time.
Yep.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah. So there's a range of different ways that can happen. Obviously, macrophages, and then...
So you say macrophage, not macrophage?
Macrophage. I don't know.
I say macrophage, but I've heard macrophage. But I think you're trying to be fancy to say phage.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too fancy for me.
Yeah, macrophage.
That's me thinks that's too fancy. So there's that reason as well, and that's like why even when babies are young, they get so sick, because their bodies haven't developed the appropriate immunoresponse to these things that they're coming into contact with the first time. Whereas people who have been around longer are actually able to already fend them off because they've had to defend themselves against it before.
Like botulism. Botulism is a big problem for babies, whereas older persons, such as you and I, we can fend off botulism a lot easier.
Yeah, okay. And so there's another thing, though, and the other side of the coin, which is all about being able to defend against things, however things are shrinking in your body, which is unusual because obviously with metabolism things are growing bigger, but the actual thymus, the thymus is?
It's a gland?
So it's located behind the breastbone. It's one of the organs in the immune system.
Okay.
Yeah. So your thymus is where like your immune cells, like white blood cells, T lymphocytes cells, all that type of stuff, they all mature. However, when you're...
So it's like a breeding ground for your immune system.
It's a very important part for your immune system. However, it begins to shrink when, like in young adults, between 20 to 30.
Oh, this is fucked.
Right? So by middle age, it's only about 15% of its maximum size.
Really?
Yeah,
it shrunk that much?
It shrinks hugely.
Wow.
Yeah, so and even things like macrophages, which are things like little cells that T cells, white cells.
Macrophages, they're all white cells.
White blood cells.
But different kinds.
Yeah, T cells, they're a type of...
Macrophages are the non-specific.
Yeah,
and
so
the
they
T cells
just
are
come
the specific.
along. Yeah, so they just come along and they'll just go home.
Yeah, they'll just fuck shit up. They don't care.
They'll just through phagocytosis. They'll just go home and just take in something.
Phagocytosis.
So they don't actually work as well. Now, I don't know, but scientists believe it may be, some scientists believe it may be one reason that cancer is more common among older people. So, but Stuart...
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, Stuart Piston from the University of South Australia, he believes that one of the major factors in, like, the elderly getting cancer is because we're increasing our lifespan. So, we survive diseases, we live longer, then obviously we've got more chance to get cancer. When you look
more
at it,
likely to mutate if you've been exposed to more mutagens and stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
You have more experience in mutagens and just naturally occurring just mutations as well. One of the things that I found really interesting in what just Stuart Piston, not a professor. But one of the things...
What a loser.
I know, right? Who's not a professor? What a drag. No.
If he's listening to us, I'm sorry. We'd love to have you on for an interview.
We really appreciate your research. We're just... so even like cancer-promoting genetic errors in a single cell, so for something to become cancer-promoting, it has to have at least 6 genetic errors on it. So for development of most cancers, it's likely that many more are needed. Only when all of these errors are present in the same cell can the chances progress of, or greatly increase the risk of the cell becoming cancerous.
Okay, so quite a few things have to go wrong. Well, not quite a few, 6 isn't that many, but a number of things have to go wrong for you to develop cancer.
Exactly. So it's not just like, all at the same time, 6, bang, 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 or however many you need, but you increase the likelihood of this, I guess you'd say the correct errors to create a cancerous cell. Obviously, this type of thing takes a long time. So the longer that cell's around, the more risk it has of getting those errors on those key kind of parts of the genetic, the genes.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. And so the longer we live, the more time there is for these genes.
It does make sense, obviously, yeah. The longer you're alive, the more likely, the more cells you've made, so the more copying errors that are likely to happen.
Exactly. So when people kind of say, cancer rates are increasing and things like that, well, because we're living longer and we're better at diagnosing these diseases and
we're not getting killed by other things.
Exactly. We're not just dropping dead one day. We can find out there's a lump in, or whatever, there's some sort of cancer. Like you often hear the story where people feel a bit ill, they go to the doctor, and then within a few, weeks or months, they've passed away. So
yeah,
it's pretty, But at the moment, though, there's not much that can be done to prevent aging, but we reduce the risks from external factors of getting cancer and things like that by avoiding chemical carcinogens, such as those in cigarette smoke, reducing exposure to UV radiation, and where appropriate, participating in vaccination programs for HPV.
Oh, okay.
So
the usual sort of...
I know, right?
Smoking messes up some shit, doesn't it?
I think it's like pretty much in everything that we've researched now, it's like, don't smoke it.
It just to reduce your aging, don't smoke.
It just does. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
So there's a range of different things that can influence our ability to be able to defend ourselves as we get older.
And that's defending ourselves from external threats and even internal threats as well.
Absolutely. Like even just with the reduce of the ability for our macrophages to be able to kind of defend our body. Obviously, they become less, I guess you'd say, effective. even with cuts and infections and stuff like that. So often you'll see, there might be some sort of infection.
I know my grandma takes a lot longer to heal from a cut in her arm than I do, or even my old man does, and things like that too.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the way you hold the knife, huh?
I'm just doing an experiment.
Yeah. What happens if I hold it without the handle? What have you got for us?
Well, I think the classic thing that we associate with aging is wrinkles, right?
Wrinkles, yes.
Right. Everyone gets old. Everyone looks at wrinkles.
Billions is spent on trying to stop wrinkles.
Stop wrinkles. So I started to look into wrinkles. That's the obvious symptom of aging, I suppose you'd say, is getting all wrinkly. And we're not talking about down there. We're talking everywhere, okay? So your wrinkly skin.
Yep.
I've got a few little wrinkles coming out in the side of my eyes, I noticed. Yeah. I call them my happy lines. Yeah. Because they come out when I smile.
Oh, really? Mine come out when I frown.
Your anger. Your grousey lines. I don't know.
Oh,
anyway, now, what I found interesting is if you actually cut out some wrinkly skin and then cut out some non-wrinkly skin or smooth skin and look at them under the microscope, you actually can't tell the difference between the two samples.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So obviously it depends on your magnification. If you got it ×2, you'll probably be able to tell a difference. But if you go right down to where you can still see that sort of
on a
times 400
level,
microscopic times 400, there is not an observable difference between wrinkly old skin and fresh young person's skin.
So how then does the skin start to wrinkle?
Well, that's it. There are three main components that make your skin toit, like a toiga.
Like a toiga.
The first one is collagen, which we've probably all heard about, collagen. And that is related to firmness of your skin, so how firm it is. Obviously, that's what firmness means.
Thank you for that thrilling definition.
All right. Bloody Merriam-Webster over here. The next one is elastin, which is basically how bouncy your skin is, so how well you can pull it and it'll go back to its shape. Yeah, exactly. And then the last one is glycosaminoglycans, or GAGs. GAGs. I'm going to call them GAGs from now on.
Oh, please.
Yeah. So your GAGs have to relate to your hydration. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is old people should drink more water to help their skin?
It won't make a difference because the GAGs determine how well hydrated how well your body, your skin particularly retains moisture. Okay, so there's your three factors. Collagen, firmness; elastin, bounciness; and the last one, GAGs, hydration, how well it retains water. So that's when a lot of people put those creams on. They're actually just increasing the amount of moisture in their skin, so it looks like they've got less wrinkles until their skin dries out again, and then they just come back. It doesn't actually do anything.
Oh, okay.
So it's a good little ploy by the whole skin industry there to just go, here, rub some wetness on you.
You need to look wetter.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, after about 20, so this is quite early compared to the other aging things we learn, after 20, you naturally start making less collagen, less elastin, and less GAGs.
Like you start gagging less.
I just want to say GAGs as many times as I can. Okay, now, usually this has minimal effect on how your skin ages, but after 20, you're making just
more of a
slightly
behavior,
less.
though, isn't it?
Gagging, yeah. You can definitely train the gag reflex, yeah. I've been informed.
I'll have you know, I gag twice a day. Yeah, when I brush my teeth.
Really? What? You just can't help but gag? Maybe you are.
No, when I clean my tongue. You know how like most of your bad breath comes from your tongue.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so if you and every time I do
it, try sticking your tongue out. Don't shove the toothbrush back there.
No, I'm trying to do this.
You trying to clean your epiglottis or something?
I'm literally pretending to brush my teeth.
Please stop making the motion in front of me. I don't know. Our window's open right now. If anyone's in the street looking in at us, all they can see is you going facing me. It's not a good look. People will talk, man. This is bad enough.
And sometimes I'll have to brush my teeth on my knees like this. But yeah, anyway, so it's just that natural reaction of the toothbrush, I think, pulling my tongue out.
That's fascinating. This has nothing to do with wrinkles. Oh, God.
And it's just naturally, so every night my wife hears me in the bathroom go,
oh, she thinks she got a really flexible spine.
Yeah. Oh, he's learnt yoga.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway, so you're making less gags, and now I've lost my place. Oh, yeah, okay, here we are, found it. So this is all to do with intrinsic aging. So this is naturally, you're just going to naturally make less collagen, elastin in the gags. But the thing is, if you do other things and the external aging factors come in, so it's if you spend more time out in the sun, if you're more exposed to various elements, and of course, if you're a smoker, okay? Yeah, then this natural aging process is exaggerated by further reductions in your collagen, elastin, and your gags. Now, the other thing is if increased exposures, you actually also get increased cornification on the top layer of skin. So the top layer of skin actually thickens up a little bit. You get
cornification.
Cornification, yeah, not Californication. So you get corny. I suppose.
Thought that was when you can't remember that you've eaten corn and you see it.
Cornification, yeah, that's right.
Oh man, that's totally cornified.
Oh my god, I could totally eat that again. Now, it's basically to do with this skin exfoliation process. So that also decreases as we age. So you're not actually necessarily getting more wrinkles, but the fact that you're exposed, you have more cornified skin and less exfoliation exaggerates the appearance of those wrinkles as your skin gets thicker.
Okay.
So there's a couple of things going on with why you get wrinkly. So if you see someone who's particularly wrinkly, they've probably spent a lot of time in the sun, they're very cornified, or they're a smoker.
Or they're not gagging enough.
Well, they're not gagging. They need more gags.
They need more gags.
Yeah. Just to go on off the mate, I know how to fix your problem. You need some gags. I can help you out with that. Follow me to my room. I've got some cream.
Oh, yuck.
What? I'm just talking about the glycosaminoglycans.
True. He's not being rude.
Now, I think that wraps up our first part on aging.
It's been a while since we've done first parts.
Yeah, it has.
I like how last time we did a part 1 and part 2 was interviewing an astrophysicist about his belief in the universe, and then a Catholic priest from the Vatican. Now we're just making gag jokes.
Yeah, that's right. All to do with aging. Take that, you old bastards.
Yeah. Boy, has this podcast gone downhill.
Yeah. I think the takeaway message from this episode is if you've cracked your mid-20s, it's all downhill from there. If you're past your mid-40s, well, good luck with that. And if you're in the 60s, just keep riding that fucking wave, baby. You're killing it.
However, if you are a member of our Patreon account, you will never age.
For as little as $1 a week.
For as little as $1 a week, you will never age. So if you don't feel like aging, become a Sci-gasm podcast Patreon. Thanks for listening.
Conditions apply.